What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Banlist update video. This format has been incredibly stale thanks to Snake Eye, Fiendsmith, and a little bit of Yubel, and many agree that the game needs a definite shakeup in the form of a slaughter list. And apparently Konami agrees because this list changed a lot. Most of it was good, but just like always, they have to include a questionable hit here and there. 4 cards are now banned. First is Fiendsmith's Lacrima. This card's ability to both automatically generate a rank 6 and to burn mid-combo to gutter snipe wins on the new time rules made this a pain-in-the-ass card. But I never expected it to be hit this soon. I'm glad it was though, because this was annoying. Next is Apollosa, Bow of the Goddess. I think everyone can agree this one was just a pain-in-the-ass generic card, no different than Barone and Boral Savage. Next is Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, King Calamity. Now there's a deck or two that specialized in summoning this thing on the opponent's turn, which shut down any possibility of participation, and in a 2-player game, that is just blatantly boring. Finally is Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal. This thing has been on the watch list for a very long time, being randomly abused by decks that had nothing better to do than play it for some random grave tech they likely had no business using. Fact is, she needed to go. 11 cards have been limited to 1. First is Eva. Eva and Benton both were initially banned because of the abuse offered via ritual looping, specifically by Drytron if my memory is correct. Seeing it come back to 1 now is a little unnerving, but we'll see what comes of it. Next is Snake Eye Ash and Snake Eye Poplar. Ash was the main combo started for the Snake Eye deck or engine or whatever you want to call it, and Poplar was the most used extension piece on that combo. While I personally feel like Poplar needed to be banned, it and Ash being limited should do enough for now. And yes, I'm aware Azamina is coming and might change that. Next is number 40 Gimmick Puppet of Strings and number C40 Gimmick Puppet of Dark Strings. Both of these pieces needed to be repeatedly spam looped to fully utilize the burnout loop Gimmick Puppets do. Limiting them to 1 each hampers that significantly. Next is Branded Fusion. I think we can all agree the Branded Fusion monsters are fucking annoying, and this significantly slows them down for anyone not actually playing the deck. Next is Opening of the Spirit Gates. I was wondering how they were going to tackle the whole Yubel issue given their track record of not tapping the deck's newest cards within 6 months, barring emergency circumstances of course, and opening makes sense for a reasonable card to hit. It doesn't change much, but at least it's something. Next is Pot of Prosperity. This one actually hurts a little. I had recently gotten enough copies to put in the decks I needed, but I get it made deck building much easier as a whole for everyone involved. It is a sensible hit, but like every person that uses any card on the ban list, I wish they hadn't. Next is Sangen Summoning. I think Tenpai is the most hysterically fun competitive deck I've seen in a long time. The core costs a fraction of most other decks, it makes the battle phase actually matter, and it uses an underutilized type and attribute combo, which was refreshing to me. Seeing the field spell hit sucks, but I do believe if we're going by OCG standards, it is still playable. Next is That Grass Looks Greener. Oh, the fun I had with this card back when I played a 60-card Dark Dump deck. Such a fun time in my gameplay. Sadly, it at 1 doesn't change enough to warrant me bringing it back, but it might if it comes back at a higher number. Finally is Skill Drain. Thank you for limiting this piece of crud card. It was insanely infuriating to have to deal with it. I am so happy to see it down to 1. 7 cards have been semi-limited to 2. First is Blaster, Redox, Tempest, and Tidal. I've made it no secret that I hate the Dragon Rulers. The Dur format was not one I considered particularly fun. So far, I am glad that my inherent fear of them coming back and ruining the game again has not come true, but every change they make to these reconfirms that possibility that it could happen, and I am not happy. Next is Lunalight Tiger. The Lunalight deck abused this card to get constant and consistent resummons to generate material so they can summon literally anything that is not a Lunalight fusion. Since they didn't errata it, that means they must think this is not going to be an issue. We will see. Next is Thunder Dragon Colossus. It coming back to 1 surprisingly didn't change much, so I guess it going to 2 won't be a huge difference. Finally is Ib the World Chalice Justiciar. Same argument, it going to 1 didn't upheave the game in its entirety, so I guess putting it to 2 won't change much. Finally, 7 cards have been unlimited and are back to 3. First is Armageddon Knight. This makes me insanely happy, and I'm willing to bet this is largely because of the incoming Malice archetype, but I'm still thrilled to see it. Hopefully Grepher will come back next. Next is Red Rose Dragon. I'm fine with seeing this piece back at 3, honestly. Plant decks got their shit ran on a few lists, and they kinda needed something to bring them back into playability in some regard. Next is Magispector Unicorn Kirin. It coming back to 1 didn't change anything, much to my surprise, so I guess coming back to 3 makes sense. Next is Performage Plushfire. We got confirmation of its hard once per turn errata, so that makes this card infinitely more fair. Next is Ancient Fairy Dragon. After its recent errata, it turned out that it made it a little bit too overbalanced, and now it can basically be run in any deck with no consequence. Although it might see play in Dragon Rulers, which is another concern for me, but it's less so on the totem pole. Next is Denglong, First of the Yang Zing. I expected it to come back with a vengeance in the game thanks to the generic dino abuse, but it never happened, and I am very happy that it didn't. And finally is Time Seal. Yeah, this card could have come back to 3 some time ago, I'm just gonna say it. It was too slow to matter unless you use something like Transaction Rollback or something, and this is just not worth that kind of an effort. And that is the ban list. This list was huge, in more ways than one. It hit and fixed a lot of problematic deck syntax that could have been handled a long time ago, but I'm glad they got tackled now. It actually makes me want to play the game and update my decks again. On that note, I know a lot of you are probably wondering what's going on with my decks because I promised changes and updates in the last ban list video and I never got around to doing it. But I am getting back into this. I just got a few things that I need to work out first. Fire Kings are on standby until we get Volcanics. Dinosaurs are on standby until we see that new Jirax support, because I'm all about Jirax. Gusto are still in a state of flux at the moment, where they don't quite have enough consistency to be playable again. Sharks have a lot of cards I'm waiting on. My Thunder deck has been completely replaced with Watt Sprite and will be coming out soon once I make the change to accommodate a 2 Prosperity it lost. My Dark deck is having an identity crisis, and 3 Armageddon Knight does not fix it. Alien and Crawler are being worked on, but the Ragnarok attacks didn't change them as much as I'd hoped. And the Ascension of Spirits is definitely coming soon. At this point, I just need to solidify their upcoming changes and get the last few cards I need to finish the builds, so expect to see at least a couple of videos this time around relatively soon. I thank you for watching the ban list video, and if you have any opinions on this list, feel free to say so below. In the meantime, this is Inashi, signing out.